Senator Babafemi Ojudu joins us now. He is a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, and he joins us all the way from Ekiti. It is good to see you joining us this morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily, Senator. You have not been quiet even after you've left government, but your voice has been particularly loud in the last couple of days. You want to tell us why you've seen the need to be particularly vocal in the last couple of days about the state of affairs generally with your party and the state of affairs in your home state of Ekiti?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, let me say that I do not enjoy this title of APC chieftain. I'm a member of APC. I don't see myself as a chieftain. Having said that, election is coming. I always wish my party well, and when I see things that could affect the fortune of the party across the country, I like to point that out so that the president and all our candidates in the coming election will be aware. Often when you are in government, a lot of things are kept away from you. Yes, the contract for the construction of a road may be awarded or confirmed at the Executive Council. The president will leave that Executive Council and then relax that work perhaps will soon commence or has commenced at on the affected road. It cannot be everywhere, and often the president don't even travel through the roads, and everybody will dance and clap in the affected areas, only for nothing to have been done, on that road for 1, 2, 3 years. So I think that I have been here and going around, driving around, not flying in private jets. I get to see those roads. I get to read about them being constructed when they are not being constructed. And I think it behoves of me as a citizen and a member of the party to let the world know, hoping that by making that information available to the world, the president, may get to hear about it, and then call the minister and everyone is involved to explain why the road, which contract has been awarded by the Executive Council is not being constructed or being attended to.
Well, you clearly know that your voice carries weight within your party and, of course, within the body politic of Nigeria. Having been a political advisor to late President Muhammadu Buhari. So clearly, I mean, you might not exactly accept the title, but we do know that you're not just a floor member in the All Progressives Congress. And so when you criticize or when you raise the alarm, clearly people have to listen. Because from what we understand now, Senator Dave Umahi has had to now send or to say, the contractors are going back to site. That does not happen with everyday Nigerians. So I do not know whether you are satisfied with that response. I think you're referring to the criticism you raised on the Akure Ado-Ekiti dualization project, which was supposed to cost 95.98 billion. You say a single carriageway was provided instead of the dual carriageway. So can you tell us, was the road completed in that single carriageway, or was it that it was not even half done?
Even that has not been completed. Let me also say, I took a ride on that road on Sunday, and I find out the one that has been reconstructed is already failing, less than 1 year after it was open to traffic. So, I mean, something is certainly wrong with us. Why are we doing this? I just got a surprising call yesterday from the contractor, one of the contractors handling the road, and said, "Sir, I had to look for your number. We are back on site, but we are yet to provide a fund to continue the work." And I said, well, all the best. I will also see how I can make this public so that funds could be provided. But my worry is that it's not just that. The one carriageway was not reconstructed. It was repaired, largely, and I can confirm to you this morning that single carriageway supposedly constructed is already failing less than 1 year, into opening that road. We need to, something is certainly wrong with all of us. And the president, being the president, perhaps, fly wherever it goes to and may not be aware of these things. It is the people who use those roads who are able to tell what the state of those roads are. And I think enough of rhetoric, enough of propaganda. All of us who are citizens who get to be the victims of some of these things should speak out to assist the president, not because we do not like him, not because we do not wish him well, but because he should know and be able to direct his officials on what to do and how to behave. The president is in Abuja, and contractors are asked to go to Ekiti or Ondo, and they did what was contrary to the contract awarded. Even what they did, again, did not measure up to standard. Don't the ministry have engineers who supervise these contractors? What is happening? What is going on? And you then spend billions of naira on a particular road this year. In 3 years' time, it has again, collapsed. And on we keep wasting this money when it is standard practice that roads constructed in other parts of the world now are lasting 100 years. So I am calling on the civil society, not just me. I mean, I wish the president well, I wish our party well, I wish all our candidates who are going to run election next year well. But when these things affect the people, it's when then you begin to call on money to persuade people to vote for you. But if all the things government is saying you spend money on, are done well and conscientiously too, we do not need to give money to our citizens to vote for us.
Do you think that this is a lack of supervision, or do you think that this is corruption at play?
Well, there is corruption. Sometimes corruption leads to lack of supervision. If I've collected money from a contractor, then I do not have the guts to tell him he should do things right or do it on time. So it's one thing leads to the other. The government or the Ministry of Works has never been short of having engineers who goes around to supervise projects. Even in the colonial times, you have the engineers, local engineers, who move around in those days under PWD to ensure that the roads are well constructed, they keep those specifications and all of that. But again, you all know this. We are in Nigeria. Contractors have a way of corrupting officials, and when officials are corrupted, what do you get? You get lack of performance, you get abandonment, you get shoddy jobs, and that simply is what I think is happening.
Well, we'll wait to see, because, clearly the road which you have raised in question is not there's even a road there. I'm sure that you saw the visuals we played earlier, where motorists have now been stuck at a point along the Benin-Agbo-Asaba road, for days, because portions of the road have effectively failed. And we understand that the minister is visiting there this morning. It's not the first time, even under the Buhari administration, that road too was under contention, for the same issue which, the Tinubu administration now has to face. But that's not the only matter that you have raised. After the campaign council list was released on Saturday, you also had very strong words for that campaign council when it was published. You said that this campaign council is a mixture of saints and former sinners, the tried and the tired, reformers and those still awaiting reform. Now, we cannot verify this particular story, but we understand that it does appear that the president might be pulling back that list. We were waiting to confirm that. But I don't know. Well, you are an internal person. Have you heard that as well?
That story.
Yes.
When I saw that list, knowing the president, I said to myself, the president must have given out this assignment to some of his aides. There is no way any president anywhere will sack a minister from his cabinet and then put him back there later to come and manage his campaign. Well, what are you going to be telling the people? What message are you saying to voters? Are you conveying to those who are going to vote for you next year? So my thinking is that the president, in the first place, gave out this assignment and believed that those who handle this assignment are going to be thorough about it. But as it has shown now, people who are under trial by the EFCC, people who have been sacked with ignominy, people who are, who have been into all kinds of shady deeds, people who have had to refund money, they've stolen from this country are on that list. So it's embarrassing. And as I said earlier on, I had to come out to say this thing because I believe that the president may not have been aware. Let me say this: when you are in power in Nigeria, you are shielded largely from reality, and it's not just in Nigeria. It goes back to every country. I remember reading a book about Julius Nyerere where he said that a paper could be printed, could be reprinted so that he will not see what was printed in the original one when he was in power. So what does he do? He makes sure that once in a month he goes to his village, call his primary school classmates, secondary school classmates, university classmates, and then began to, ask them questions about what is happening. I've done this, has it been done? I have this and that kind of thing. Ordinarily, the security apparatus ought to be guiding the president and officials of government about this thing. There is no way a president will take his pen and write the name of somebody he sacked with ignominy on a list of those who will manage the campaign for a second term. It's not possible. It's all this thing about throwing weights around, favorism, and all kinds of childish things by some officials of government that leads to that kind of thing. There is no way I will be a special advisor on politics, and I'll be involved because you could be an advisor and you may not belong to the mainstream. You may not be involved. If I were involved, I will look at the list and I will tell Mr. President or Vice President, this is not right. We are sending a wrong signal by having these crop of people on the list for the campaign for a second term for the president or for a governor. The lists are sticking out there like a sore thumbs.
Senator, while you have not been sparing in your criticism, you also seem to make an excuse for the president. That generally, power those who hold power in Nigeria are shielded. But some people will say, are you also aware that this could sound like the person who is running for elections or re-elections in 2027 seems to be losing touch or seems to be out of touch with his own government or seems to be out of touch with the reality of his own government?
Let me confess to you, apart from being a politician, I'm also a journalist. I've looked from outside inside, and I've looked from inside as well. And I will tell you this, that it takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of experience for a president of a country to have his finger on all the pies, on all the pies. And one person who has been able to achieve that to a large extent as the President Olusegun Obasanjo, you cannot go to him and deceive him. He knows everybody. He knows virtually everybody who is relevant across the country. He can tell you the history of such persons, and and he's more, I think, meticulous about this kind of things. But up to him, honestly, I think there has been some kind of laxity, in terms of being, very, very keen in knowing what is happening, either in the presidency or outside, among the populace. And it's not about making excuses for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's about saying the Tinubu I know could not have himself sit down and allow the names of those people that we know who have been sacked from his cabinet. At what point will he be making? What will he have loved to achieve? And these are people who were found to have stolen money. So if you don't give them money to go and spend on the campaign in their constituency, automatically they're going to steal the money. So it's not in his own interest in the first place. Except these names are just being presented as some kind of a jamboree and some image of being involved for the boys and the girls. If these are people who are truly going to do the job, then I do not see how the president will sit down. What I suspect may just be that, a number of people within the presidency and the political party headquarters were asked to go and do this. Perhaps, and when they came with the list, he didn't enjoy the vetting of the president, and that confirms for me when I then read the story that the president has asked has asked the list to be withdrawn. Something happened in recent past. Someone was appointed a minister in one of the states. He was highly recommended by somebody in government until somebody important from that state came and said, what am I seeing in all of the people who are from this state? This is the person you want to make a minister? I mean, he was scandalized, and the president now had to call those who recommended that fellow and say, look, you mean you didn't consult with this man in the state? You mean you didn't know the background of this fellow? That was how the poor person who was appointed was embarrassed and dropped from the list. There has been much of this thing in this government, and I'm calling on the president. If he can't do it, look for somebody within the system who is very good at vetting these things, so that he won't be flip-flopping. Things wouldn't have gone out and then he's withdrawing it and all of that. It doesn't portray him as somebody who is 100% in charge, and that's unfortunate. I know President Tinubu. I worked with him in his campaign. From my vantage point at that time, I go to him from time to time. I knew then how thorough he was and how thorough people around him were. So that's why, seeing this, I'm highly surprised. It's not a good one at all. I mean, you cannot. It's like going to pull out somebody from jail to come and manage your campaign. Having been sentenced for stealing. It's not right. Nobody can justify it. Although you have some of the data boys out there throwing abuses at some of us, I think what we have done, for those of us who have tried to call attention to this, is positive. For the political health of Mr. President. I was shocked yesterday when the lawyer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, came out defending it and citing legal whatever that the president has right to. So if Anini emerges yesterday, Anini the armed robber, and there has some kind of political influence in those states, you can then appoint him on the president council, campaign council of Mr. President. That can never be right. And Nigerians, do not take that at all. And we move on from there to even people who may not be criminals, but who are holding important positions in government. They could be politicians, yes, but they are holding critical positions now. I mean, can you imagine putting the EFCC chairman as a member of campaign council? If you cannot put EFCC chairman, then you cannot put the chairman of Nigerian of NRS. It's just not. Yeah, behind the scene, he can support the president whichever way he wants to support the president. But for his name to be there, and showing clearly that he's part of this, I don't think that is right. I don't think it is right. And I believe that the president is going to do the needful, scrutinize that name, those names. In the first place, it's too unwieldy. I mean,
108 members. Well, we'll wait and see what happens with that. I'm sure Ayo also has further questions to take up with you. Ayo, over to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Malcolm. I'm sure that we really don't have much on this time on this segment, but one question that bugs my mind, and you have said this quite a number of times, the president. There's something that existed, and I'm glad you're a journalist, so you would know that from history, and naturally, we have often, in previous republics, separated governance from politics through the party structures. In the Second Republic, you would remember vividly that the party chairman, the national chairman, was very, very prominent. He took care of all politics and politicking for the party, and for the party. And he also ensured compliance with the manifestos of the party. He ensured that everyone elected did what they were expected to do. So it begs the question then, why some elected officials on the platform of the APC, including those who have just joined the APC, are doing stuff that people are wondering, wait, don't we have people in government who can take care of these things? So why should things delay until such a time as someone of your own stature have to be the one complaining, as opposed to the people elected to do and execute those jobs? Shouldn't we also say that even the party structure itself, the party mechanism, is failing in its own duty of supervising the manifestos that they promise to give to Nigerians?
Laws. One of the legs of the activity of those elected into the National Assembly is to carry out oversight functions. You know, when you award a contract, for example, to construct a road, senators and representatives from that zone ought to follow up on the release of funds, ensuring that the money is spent on what it is meant for, going on the road, affirming that work is being done and all that. And if work is not being done, then we of course have to, you know, call the attention of the minister, the relevant minister to it. And if the relevant minister is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, we then of course summon him to the Senate. I remember as a senator, I mean, we had a meeting in the Committee for Works to scrutinize the budget, and I found out that allocations were made to Ekiti for the construction of some roads in Ekiti. When I look at the details, the address of the roads were in Kebbi, in Nasarawa, and one other state in the north. I screamed and shouted, and I said, look, this meeting will not continue until this was corrected. They had to call off that open meeting and call me to the office of the chairman of that committee, late Ayogwezi, and you know.
But I'm certain that we'll be getting him back, because another leg to that conversation, Markwe, would be to ask him, I mean, while we can blame the president all we like, and we should, because
the actual construction was on the school. I said, what is all this? Why are we doing this to ourselves? So there is a problem. And you have raised the issue of party leadership as opposed to executive. I can tell you this, those two roles are merged, you know, just as the executive and the legislature has also merged, and just as even the judiciary has merged with the executive. We need to allow institutions of democracy to work and be independent of one another as specified in the Constitution. The moment we begin to see that only the president matters in the democracy, then we are going to have problems. And then the other one is this. When people who are supposed to carry out oversight duties begin to be contractors themselves and begin to go from ministry to ministry looking for money, they cannot carry out oversight.
Is that happening,
for me,
Senator?
I've seen in recent times. Thank you.
Are you saying that happens, that, you know, elected officials also become contractors?
Oh, of course, I saw that when I was a senator. It's just that the magnitude is not as much as we have now. It's horrible. You know, again, do I want to blame them? Do I not want to blame them? The demands on that office, people have lost the sense of what a lawmaker should be. I told you earlier, two responsibilities, you know, make laws, promulgate laws for the country. Secondly, carry out oversight functions. But when you are now the one who have to build roads, the other day I saw that somebody was being commended for having, you know, constructed 100 kilometers of roads in his constituency, built hospitals, built schools. A lawmaker, that is not the duty of a lawmaker. It is not. But when so much pressure is put on you, and you cannot come back to the Senate or House of Reps because you have to provide electricity, provide water, you know, provide roads, roof the houses of your members of your constituents, pay their hospital bills, then we have moved from the arena of lawmaking to the arena of the executive.
Well, just one quick thing, Senator, my sincere apologies. Just one last thing, and if you can do this in 30 seconds. You've talked about governance, executives, and all of that, and that's taken. But the list that you spoke to, that's a lot more political than it is governance. Shouldn't that have been left to the party executive, the party leadership to do it properly in line with the ideals of the government, as opposed to depending, again, as you said, on the president to draw up a political list?
I'm saying that even that list may not have been done, may not have been compiled by the president. That this same party you are talking about, and maybe 1 or 2 persons from the presidency, were given the assignment by the president. I think it now behoves on Mr. President to let them bring the outcome, scrutinize it, retain those you want to retain, strike out those you want to strike out. I think this was not done, before it came out, and the outcry has now led the president to request that the list be withdrawn. It happened in the case of appointing ambassadors. It happened in the case of appointing ministers.
And these things will always happen, Senator. And I'm glad, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, you said you are a media man, so which is one of the reasons that the media is here, so that these issues can be ventilated and then they can be addressed. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Senator Babafemi Ojudu is, as he said, a member of the APC and not a chieftain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.